Okay, we should be live on YouTube, but I'm just waiting for it to come on screen. Okay, there she be. We're here. All right. So,
All right.
so today, Khushboo and I are going to be reading verses 13 to 32 of Discourse 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. And Khushboo is reading it in Sanskrit, and I'm reading it in two versions. The reason for this, two translations. One of the translations, the Penguin Classic, is in verse, very poetic, which is the way the Gita was probably originally written. The second translation is much more prosaic. It's in much more prose language, and it has very good notes. So I'm using the second version for better understanding, but I'll be using both translations. And so Khushboo will be reading from verse 13, the Sanskrit first. Verse 13.
Yagyashishtashinah santo mucchayate sarvakilikash bhujante te tvavadha papa ye pachanapatamarkaranata. Verse 13.
The true ones who eat the leftovers of the sacrifices are free from all evils, but the evil ones eat their own impurity as they cook only for themselves. And verse 13. The sages who enjoy the food that remains after the sacrifice is made are freed from all sin. But the selfish who spread their feast only for themselves feed on sin only. Verse 14.
I have to read 14 and 15 together, okay?
Okay.
Anna bhadravanti bhutani parj nyadanasamasambhavah yagyam bhavati parjannayo yagya karma samudravah karma broham mandamba vidhi brahmakshara samrudra vama tasmatasvargatah brahma nitya yagye pratishthitam. Verse 14 and 15.
Beings exist through food. Parjanya, the rain, is the source of food. Parjanya exists through sacrifice, and sacrifice exists through actions. Sorry. Know the origin of sacrificial action as Brahman, arising from the eternal nature of Brahman. Thus, all pervading Brahman is eternally fixed in sacrifice. Verses 14 and 15. All creatures are the product of food. Food is the product of rain. Rain comes by sacrifice, and sacrifice is the noblest form of action. All action originates in the Supreme Spirit, which is imperishable, and in sacrificial action, all-pervading spirit is consciously present. Verse 16.
Eva pravattita chakra nanuvartayati yah adharyurindriyaramo modha partha sa jivati. Verse 16.
The one who does not set the wheel in motion here on earth lives uselessly, wanting to hurt, impassioned by the senses, son of Prita. Verse 16. Thus, he who does not help the revolving wheel of sacrifice, but instead leads a sinful life, rejoicing in the gratification of his senses, O Arjuna, he breathes in vain. Verse 17.
Yasvatma ratireva syadatma truptasya manavaha atmanyeva santushtista svaya karya na vidhate. Verse 17.
The person who would be content in the self, pleased in the self, happy in the self, for that one a reason for action does not exist. Verse 17. On the other hand, the soul who meditates on the self is content to serve the self and rests satisfied within the self. There remains nothing more for him to accomplish. Verse 18.
Neva tasya krute nartho narku te neha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kashichadartha vyapya shrayah. Verse 18.
For that person, there is no goal in action, nor any goal in non-action, and that one does not cling to goals in connection with any beings. Verse 18, he has nothing to gain by the performance or non-performance of action. His welfare depends not on any contribution that an earthly creature can make. Verse 19.
Tasmad dasaktakah satata karya karma samachar asakotako hacharana karma paramapnopati purushah. Verse 19.
So without clinging, always perform actions to be done. When one performs actions to be done without clinging, one attains the highest. Verse 19, therefore do your duty perfectly, without care for the results. For he who does his duty disinterestedly attains the supreme. Verse 20.
Karmaneva hi sansiddhamastita janakadayah lokasadgraha me vapi samnapashya kattakahakum turmar harshti. Verse 20.
By action alone, King Janaka and many others gained fulfillment. Observing even the simple maintenance of the world, you should act. Verse 20, King Janaka and others attained perfection through action alone. Even for the sake of enlightening the world, it is your duty to act. And there is a footnote. King Janaka was an enlightened ruler and the father of Sita, heroine of the epic Ramayana. He continued to be active in the world even after attaining perfection for the sake of enlightening the world. Okasamgraha. This famous phrase from the Gita literally means world gathering or harmonizing the world. To help others toward enlightenment is the highest form of selfless service. The ideal of Loka Samgraha is the basis of the Mahayana Buddhist path of the Bodhisattva. Verse 21.
Yadyadacha charati shrestasta ta devetaro janah sa yatya pramanah kurute lokastadanu varnatne. Verse 21.
As the best person practices in various pursuits so too will the rest. That one sets the standard that the world then follows. Verse 21, for whatever a great man does, others imitate. People conform to the standard which he has set. Verse 22.
न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यः त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चनः नानवाप्तव्यं वर्त एव च कर्मणि. Verse 22.
Son of Prita, for me, nothing at all is to be done in the three worlds. There is nothing to be reached which has not been reached. Even so, I move in action. 22. There is nothing in this universe, O Arjuna, that I am compelled to do, nor anything for me to attain, yet I am persistently active. Verse 23.
23 and 24 are together.
Okay.
यदि हयः न वर्तय जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्म कर्म चेदहम् षण्डकरस्य च कर्ता स्यामुपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः. Verse 24.
Surely if I, who am inexhaustible, did not undertake any action at all, humankind would follow my path everywhere, son of Priya. If I did not perform actions, these worlds would sink down. I would be a creator of scattered confusion, and I would destroy these human beings. Verses 23 and 24. For were I not to act without ceasing, O Prince, people would be glad to do likewise. And if I were to refrain from action, the human race would be ruined. I should lead the world to chaos, and destruction would follow. Verse 25.
The 25 and 26 are together.
Okay.
Satkaha कर्मण्य विद्यांसो यथा कुर्वन्निति भारत कुर्मान्द्री दास्त थास तर्कस्वी चर्की शुलोकस दह ग्रहम न बुद्धि भेद जनयेद ज्ञान कर्मस्य दी नाम जोषये तस व कर्माणि विद्यानुकूलः समाचारन. Verse 25-26.
Son of Bharata, just as the unwise ones act while clinging to action, as the wise should act without clinging, but rather wanting to keep the world collected together. One should not give birth to the shredding of insight among the ignorant who cling to action. The wise one, acting while joined to yoga, should cause them to delight in all action. Verses 25 and 26. The ignorant act because of their fondness for action. So should the wise act without such attachment, fixing their eyes, O Arjuna, only the welfare of the world. But a wise man should not perturb the minds of the ignorant who are attached to action. Let him perform his own actions in the right spirit, with concentration on me, thus inspiring all to do the same. Verse 27.
प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणे कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंदा रवि मुथात्मा कर्ताह miti manyate. Verse 27.
Everywhere actions are performed by the gunas of nature, the self confused by the idea of an I, thus thinks I am the doer. Verse 27, action is the product of the qualities inherent in nature. It is only the ignorant man who is misled by personal egotism says, I am the doer. And there's 2 footnotes here. Personal egotism, ahamkara, the consciousness of I. The activity of this organ of self-consciousness creates the illusion of the self as separate from God and causes us to identify ourselves as the agent of action. Ramana Maharishi, 1879 to 1950, taught meditation on the question, who am I, as a means of uprooting the identification with the false ego. And there's another footnote. There are 2 types of ego. The false ego has innumerable wants and desires. It says, I am a man, I want this. I am a woman, I want that. I am sick, I want to be happy. I am rich, I am very poor. It is always I. But when this ego is annihilated, the transformation takes place. The first I is replaced by the real I, and the experience, I am free from desires and wanting. I am infinite. I am one with God, is gained. That is the real ego. And that's from Meyer Baba. Okay, where am I here? Okay, verse 28.
Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagaho guna guneshu vartanata iti mantava na sajjate. Verse 28.
Strong-armed one, when the person who knows the truth of the 2 spheres of guna and action thinks the gunas are merely revolving among the gunas, then that person does not cling. Verse 28, but he, O mighty one, who understands correctly the relation of the qualities to action is not attached to the act, for he perceives that it is merely the action and reaction of the qualities among themselves. Verse 29.
Prakriti guna samudhaha sajjanate guna karmasu tana kritasya nata vido mandana krityasya na vinata vichala yeta. Verse 29.
Those who are confused by the gunas of nature cling to the actions of those gunas. The one who knows the whole should not disturb the fools who do not know the whole. Verse 25, those who do not understand the qualities are interested in the act. Still, the wise man who knows the truth should not disturb the mind of him who does not. And there's a footnote. This injunction of the Gita does not mean that a saint should not awaken people at all. They should be gradually roused and instructed in higher principles only when they are receptive. When they begin to wonder about the mysteries of life, either as a result of introspective thinking or of worldly misfortune and material disillusionment. And that's a quote from Yogananda. Okay, verse 30.
Maye sharvani karmani sannasya dhyatmach chetasa nirase nirmamo bhurtava yudhyasva Vigata Jvaraha was 30.
When you have entrusted all actions to me with thought on the highest self, when you have become free from desire, free from the idea of mine, then fight with grief gone. Verse 30, therefore, surrendering your actions unto me, your thoughts concentrated on the absolute, free from selfishness, and without anticipation of reward, with mind devoid of excitement, begin to fight. And there's a footnote. Surrendering, that is, dedicating one's every action to God and leaving to Him the responsibility for its results. Verse 31.
Ye me matamida nitya manu tishthaniti manavaha shraddhavanto danasuyanto muchayanate te dapi karmabhi. Verse 31.
Those who eternally follow this thought of mine, full of trust, who do not sneer, they are freed even by actions. Verse 31, those who act always in accordance with my precepts, firm in faith and without cavilling, they too are freed from the bondage of action. And there's a footnote. Bondage of action in reference to the natural law of karma, Sanskrit, karman. By this law, whatever we are and whatever we do is the consequence of impressions, samskaras, deposited in the mental body by our thoughts, words, and deeds of past lives. These impressions, turn the page, these impressions carried in latent form into our next life determine our future temperament and destiny. Just as one can be bound by a chain of gold or a chain of iron, so good as well as bad actions can bind us spiritually. But as Meyer Baba explains, good as well as bad karma binds as long as it feeds the ego mind through wrong understanding. But karma becomes a power for emancipation when it springs from right understanding and wears out the ego mind. Verse 32.
Ye tave tadabhya suyanto nanu tishtaniti me matama sarvagyana vimuthastata ni vidhi nashtana chetasaha. Was 32.
But recognize that those who sneer and who do not follow this idea of mine are lost and thoughtless, confusing all wisdom. Verse 32, but they who ridicule my word and do not keep it are ignorant, devoid of wisdom, and blind. They seek but their own destruction. Okay, that is it. So Khushboo and I have been reading from Discourse 3, The Path of Action of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 13 through 32. Very good. There's some comments here on YouTube that are worth mentioning. Akshaya says, so many correlations between this and Stoic philosophy as well. Interesting point. Miles says, and Blackfoot metaphysics too. Correlations going back tens of thousands of years. I once read that the Dene people of North America have actually been traced back to India genetically. And Miles, I would just point out to you that Daniel Borston, who was the Librarian of Congress of the United States, wrote a book called The Discoverers. And one of the passages in that book, one of the chapters, is about how the Iroquois people of northern New York, who you're quite familiar with, actually had their origins from Sri Lanka. And this was discovered because an American diplomat in about 1840 made an organization chart of the Iroquois nation, and he sent it to 200 foreign service posts around the world and asked if there were any diplomats around the world that had seen an organization chart like that in any local culture. And it turned out that the organization chart of the Iroquois is the same as the organization chart of the Tamils, who are from in India, the Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu means the place of the Tamils. And also Sri Lanka has all Tamils. And so it's basically Sri Lankan culture. And it was recognized as that because the Iroquois nation is based on matriarchy, not patriarchy. Going on, Akshaya says, very interesting. I once read something about Indian philosophy and quantum physics as well. Whoa, verse 27 gave me chills, reminds me of the id, ego, and the superego. That's definitely what we're talking about here, Akshaya. And Miles says, yes, I've found listening to Skip presenting Jung mind-blowing already. Then he brings this in too. Like and share, please. And Charlie Adams says, very gradually roused lest you are put in a straitjacket. Thank you, Skip. And Khushboo. Akshaya says, I'm from Tamil Nadu and I had no idea about this. Wow. So Akshaya, you really must read The Discoverers by Daniel Boorstin, former Librarian of Congress of the United States, and especially that chapter about the Iroquois nation. Okay, anything else, Khushboo, before we end? Of course, we'll do our 3 lines, but...
No, I have so much to say, so I rather not say it. It's like that.
Okay. Well, we'll say it at some point over the years, right?
Sure. I'm into that.
Amen.
Here. Within the infinite myths lies an eternal truth. Who sees it all? Varuna has but 1,000 eyes, Indra 100, you and I only 2.
And on the American dollar, there is only one, which is the god of materialism. Okay. Thank you, Akshaya. Akshaya says, lovely discussion. Peace, children of God, says Charlie Adams. Okay, so peace be with you all. And,
Thank you so much. Jai Shri Krishna.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be
Peace.
back
See you later, Khushboo. Bye-bye.